you have to go within. They keep being told, you got to go within. This is an idea that you understand, that I understand. It's all within yourself. The remote viewing, it's all within yourself. You're not going anywhere. It's all, you're going within yourself. Everything is contained inside you. And this idea of the holographic brain, and it's all in there, and the mind is feeding it. It's like a TV thing. So this is what they want us to know. It's this idea that's within us. Everything's one. The 360-degree vision, that you can, this idea that you can see everything at the same time, and that you have this power of consciousness, that everything, consciousness, you can do whatever you want. That's, you see, basic messages they're trying to get across. And everybody's telling the same story, especially when they say, I became one with the craft. And I said, man, did I hear that a couple of times. They say the same words, I became one with the craft. And whatever I thought was what the craft did. And they thought it was really weird that, you know, they could talk to the craft, and they give it a name and stuff like that. And they could feel the craft, and this idea you can go anywhere in the universe. So that's the idea, that if you go anywhere instantaneously in the universe, they're not flying through time and space, you know, over generations. They're doing it instantaneous. And then you get into the idea about the portals, where I have the thing where the 9 people in 2002 in Mount Shasta who are levitated up into the air, and these beings come, and there's more beings than there are trees in the forest. And these stories about the Zendras, where people are going in, and they walk through the Zendra, and the Zendra is only about this wide, and they walk through the Zendra, and they're on another planet. You just take one step and they're on another planet. That's where you start getting this idea that it's all one thing, because people will think, oh, they're doing magical or whatever. No, it's all consciousness, and there is no time and space. It's all here, it's all now, which gets the idea. How big is the universe if there's no time and space? It may be a point in space. That's it. That's all it is. It's all contained within. And that's where you get the stuff where you start looking at this idea that there's only one electron. That's what John Wheeler brought up. There's only one electron. Or there's no out there. It's a participatory universe. This is the guy that was the successor to Einstein at Princeton. There's no out there. It's a participatory universe. You are part of what's happening outside. This whole idea that it's all within you. And some of these quantum physicists from the early generations, more now the quantum physics are even starting. Apparently it's the big thing in quantum physics now, is to look at consciousness. 20 years ago, it was basically illegal to talk about consciousness. You would basically lose your funding, everything. Now it's a big thing. Everybody, especially if you're retired, they're all working on consciousness. You know, the guy won the Nobel Prize, Josephson. He was ostracized when he was doing ESP, when he was at, you know, he'd won the Nobel Prize. And now he's working on it. And a lot of these guys in quantum physics, that's the big thing now, is to talk about quantum physics and explain, because everybody knows there's a Nobel Prize in this, to try to explain the nature of consciousness. And they haven't gotten anywhere because they've got it backwards. They think matter creates consciousness. Then it's this idea that you and I have understood for years, and that we're trying to teach other people, and that the beings are, whatever the intelligence is trying to explain to us indirectly, is this idea it's all consciousness, all here and now. There is no future, there's no past and future. It's all here, it's all now. It's all in this weird concepts of all your lives are stacked on top of a book, and you can actually interact with people in your people in the future and the people from the past. You can live a life in the past, and you start hearing this really weird stuff, that basically anything's possible because it's all done with the mind. Whatever you want to imagine yourself doing, you can do.
That's great, Grant. I'm so happy you're back in the public eye. You look like you took off took a little.
Yeah, I'll be doing an interview Thursday morning to explain that whole thing, where I disappeared to, and I'm going to release a videotape by Kay Randall May, who you may know as she was used by Kit Green to the CIA. They were using her as a remote viewer. Kit Green described her as being between 95 and 100% accurate. She's a medical intuitive, the most accurate medical intuitive he'd ever met in his life. And he said, I'm a physiologist, and I know when she talks about medical stuff. I don't know about the UFO stuff, but medical stuff. I'm going to release a 1-hour session she did for me, and it will explain where I went for 6 months. But it's the taping will be done. I'll be explaining what's happened, and I'll release the tape from Kay Randall May. And let me tell you, as a hint, she hit a grand slam home run. Absolutely nailed it against all the doctors that were advising me. They said one thing, she said, no, they're wrong. She said that in the middle of April, and she was right. So I'm going to release the tape. It'll be pretty exciting.
Well, I always appreciate your enthusiasm and your intelligence and the big picture that you put together. Thank you. You'll be joining us tomorrow for the disclosure panel at the Portal to Ascension. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, all that. 4 p.m. Pacific. And Melinda Leslie's going to be on the panel. I'm going to try to see if Leslie Keene will be on the panel. I don't know. There's a guy named Oswald Franco who actually approached Christian Gillibrand and talked about to her. And she goes, yes, we're 100% trying to get this to be transparent. I'll play some of that video too. So there'll be a bunch of good people there, and I always appreciate your overview, because you're right. You studied the UFO White House for so long, and suddenly you switched to consciousness. You left people, but there was nowhere else to go in that field. You had this awakening and download because that seemed like it was your next level to kind of figure it all out.
That's where Jerry Pippin went after me. If you remember Jerry Pippin, the interviewer, he said, Grant, I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've gone from the presidential guy to the woo-woo side. And I said, well, Jerry, I'll tell you what, I really didn't go there. I kind of got teleported there. Like, I mean, it's you've had the download experiences, you know, this thing, it comes with this absolute certainty. It's like you saw it before you came into the world. And then suddenly the door sort of opens up and you see it and you go, oh yeah, I remember that now. It's like, and that's what it is. It's like when someone gives you a name, like you can't remember this person's name, and then somebody else tells the name. Oh yeah, that's the name. It pops in your head. Yeah, that's right. And it was this certainty, like this is exactly how it works. I had no choice. I mean, I just went there and I just was so, I couldn't, for 2 days, I couldn't think. I was just floored by this
Wow.
concept of the fact that it's all consciousness. And yet I didn't know what it meant at the time because I'd never studied consciousness, never
We're
studied
still
psychology.
figuring it out. I don't think anyone knows what it really means. We have a vague, our understanding of consciousness is it's information. It's not solid yet. It's becoming, you know.
Yeah. And that's where Deepak would be right about, is the idea, I think in the Eastern, what's the Tao the Tao that is named is not the Tao.
Yeah,
it's
right.
What we try to do when we work in this world is we change everything into nouns, and there are no nouns. Like Deepak showed, it's all a verb. It's all a verb, and that's where people. So you break it into these little nouns, and then you break it all apart, and that doesn't work. It's you have to realize it's a moving system. It's alive. It's all one thing, and it's alive. It's a verb. There's no nouns.
Well, no, there's so you know, you have you're pulling this phenomena forward. You're pushing, you have all that energy, and you know, there's a lot of movement with movies, that movie by James Fox, which I don't know, I'm going to see it soon, that Moment of Contact, Brazilian case.
My movement ahead, you'll hear Kay Randall May describe who I was in the reincarnation type things. She explains it. I don't know if I believe it, but it's pretty wild. You'll be kind of interested to see her view on it.
I'm really excited about this new book. This is Grant's latest new book, UFO Sky Pilots. Are you really happy? Are you really excited about this publication?
This is one of the most important books I think I've released, because now you can't really talk. So somebody comes up now and says they flew the craft. It doesn't mean anything because now it's in the public. This was never in the public. Nobody knew about people flying the craft. So I think that's why it's so important that I got these people and kept it all secret until I had enough people and then went public with it. Now it doesn't really mean anything if you say fly the craft, because it was not known when I was doing this book. People had never heard of it.
Wow. Thank you, Grant. Always appreciate you. I'm glad you're back in the public eye, because you know, we need the intelligence and we need that spiritual perspective if we're going to make any progress in this field, because it's obviously not nuts and bolts, which is what you've been talking about since 2012.
I appreciate the work you've done and the people you've interviewed, and let's keep working together and do it again, and then next life we'll come back and do it again.
Well,
once we get it figured out, we'll come back and do it again.
Let's say we get off the wheel and just see it from the big picture. But I'm really happy you're a contributor to this book, because your chapter leads from Nick Pope, who's just like nuts and bolts government, to the consciousness, and it becomes like more of a spiritual text, this book. And then John Mack and all that, the people that followed are just people trying to lay out the steps. And we're figuring this all out. But you're right, this is the most exciting thing any intelligent person could think about. That's what I feel. And
when it comes to the book, you can't look at that book and believe these stories are real and not realize the importance of consciousness. This absolutely says you've got to look at consciousness. This could be a massive key to when you look at a UFO now. You're not going to see a metal thing. You're going to be wondering, like, you know, is it alive? And the whole concept changes. And the idea of consciousness is fundamental to this whole story. And so to me, it's a big changer for me in terms of the way I saw it. And because I said when I first heard it, I thought I was going to throw her out of the house. I thought she was insane. I had never heard anything like it in my life. But then people started coming. So hopefully we'll do it, and then we'll do the Apport book down the road. We'll have a little chat about that, because that's another important story that I'm trying to put out that has not really been told. And piece by piece, we're putting it together. And it's like, as I said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And in terms of the military and all this other stuff, you go to the old Pogo cartoon, we have met the enemy and he is us. The idea that we have this separation idea and we want to go to war, but we got to realize we are one, we are all one with the universe. And you and I are some of the few people that are actually pushing the edge of this thing. You've been on the edge longer than I have, I think, pushing this issue. And I think we just keep doing it, and that's all we can do. Do the best you can. You're on the Super Bowl field, and when it's all over, as Michael Newton said, because he did the 7,000 regressions, and he said everybody that went in front of this panel, where he said they all had the same answer when he said, how is it? And he said everybody said the same thing. I could have done better. Oh, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. So I think you and I will have forgotten to do some stuff, but I appreciate you for the work you've done over all the years.
Oh, thanks. That's really nice coming from you, because you're one of the leaders in the field. And I'm excited about, this was a step for you. What else is going to unfold that will just blow our minds? That at first we say, no, that's impossible. And then we say, well, maybe, it's like we have to integrate it. And then it's like we bring it out and say, yeah, this is the next level. So I'm excited about the unknown.
Yeah, that's the way. And it's like an exciting movie. That's the idea we have your ups and downs and go round and round and all this kind of stuff. But it's like a movie, and the more it's like God is watching the movie and he wants it exciting. He wants the ups and downs, and you're up against you and I are up against this world that believes in materialism, and we're fighting against materialism, and we're trying to win, and then we get taken down, and then we fight back, and in the end we win the movie. That's what God's looking for in a movie. He wants it exciting. That's a challenge. Otherwise, it's like sitting there and watching, somebody sit there and drink Mai Tais on the side of a beach in Miami. It's like crazy.
It's a never-ending story. I mean, there's no winning. It's just a progression into who knows what.
Well, we're moving ahead. Yeah, we're moving. We're shifting it ahead. We're evolving in terms of the universe is evolving, getting more complex, and we are evolving and getting more complex. And we are more. You can't blame the people at the bottom, because if I hadn't had the experiences I had, I'd be just as stupid as everybody else. Because we have these experiences, and then you do what you can with it. So I don't I don't get angry at people who don't get it, because everybody's at their own level. The message is not for everybody, but when you have the message, the onus is on you and I to do what we can to get it out. And if we believe it's right, and hopefully that moves the ball down the field and gets closer to a more evolved thing that can move to the 5th generation or whatever is going to happen. Really doesn't matter what happens. It just matters what you and I do here now and in the present. And so thank you.
Right. I agree that we keep moving the ball down the field and the goalposts keep moving, but that's okay. We'll catch up.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Grant.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Talk to you. I appreciate the conversation.
Okay.